Welcome everybody to SaaS on the Street. We are live in the studio with Ben Liebert. Hey Ben, welcome.
Hi Simon, good to see you again.
Yeah, great to have you here. Friday afternoon, New Zealand time. And so I teased people yesterday. I said, here's a guy who's built a SaaS business in 24 hours. How on earth is that possible? And do you want to share how you built SyncHub in 24 hours?
Sure, I don't want to leave them hanging. So yeah, it's true. But the backstory is that I have a software development agency and we've been building SaaS platforms for other people for many, many years. And specifically, we've also built a lot of data integration platforms. And if I could just recap from the intro, yesterday, a couple of years ago, we started getting request after request for XYZ cloud service like Xero integrated into Power BI. And we would say to them, yeah, we can do that for you. That'll be 20 grand. And nobody took us up on the offer because we realized they're used to paying by the month for their SaaS platform. So after about 6 months of this, I thought enough's enough. We've got all the moving parts. We've got our Xero integration. We know how to store it into a database. And we have our foundational software platform, which we use at Blackball Software, which takes care of all the customer accounts and security and tenancy and payments. So it was just a case of joining the dots. And 24 hours later, we had an MVP that was up serving customers.
So how did you get the customer? So not only did you stand it up, you had people using it as well.
We did. So we're not fools. All of these people that had been inquiring over the preceding months, we reached out to a couple of them and we said, actually, we think we can do this for you. Would you join if we got it up and going? And so that worked really well for me. I'm not really a risk taker. I'm 42. I've been around long enough to know that you 42. Can't build hope that the customers will come. And right. So I wanted to make sure there was a little bit of demand there to get not just to bring the money in, but to test the platform and make sure that it was fit for purpose.
Right. So you had clients that wanted the service that had a big, they got sticker shock when they saw the bill if they were going to get it the normal way. And you said, well, we could give it you the SaaS way and it'll be available on, the 18th of March at midnight. And so they basically, you got it ready and that triggered them paying monthly a lot less than what they would have had to outlay. But they got the same result. They get the better result, same result.
Initially, they got this is MVP, and I'm a big fan of MVP. So the initial 24 hours, it wasn't as good as they would have got for 20 grand. There was probably no screen to change your password. There was no multi-factor authentication, but it was MVP. They could connect to one connector, one cloud service, and they could see their data in a database in real time. So they could connect Power BI, I believe, and we had a Tableau user as well, and do their reporting. And then meanwhile, we're scrabbling away for the next 24 hours, trying to kind of fit in the pieces before people need them. And that's been our story for the last 24 months.
Just keeping on adding.
Yeah, you have to keep ahead of what they want. I think we have an advantage because we're users of the platform ourselves. We're our own customer. We eat our own dog food.
Right.
So it's easy for us to see the shortcomings of the functionality or just a way to make our job a little bit easier and therefore make our customers' job a little bit easier as well.
Okay, well, let's tell everyone that doesn't know what SyncHub is. What is it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, this is the elevator pitch. I still can't do an elevator pitch in 1 minute.
No, don't give us an elevator pitch. Just tell us what it is. We're not in an elevator.
I'll paint a picture for you. You're a cafe owner, for example. You might run a POS system on your iPad. So when customers order a coffee, you need to enter that order into the iPad. You might also have some cloud software which tracks your staffing costs, leave, wages, time off, etc. Now, the POS software, Counter, Lightspeed, Vend, they offer a lot of out-of-the-box reports, and for most people, that's enough. And same with the timesheeting systems, Deputy, Tanda, etc. But once you get to a certain size, these one-size-all solutions aren't enough anymore, and you want to run your own reports, and you can't run reports without data. So what most of these SaaS platforms say is, here's our API, you can get any data you need from it, go wild. And that's great if you're a software developer, but there's this gap in the market where you have somebody who's analytical and understands data, but they don't have the software development skills to actually bring it down from an API and report on it.
Right.
So
right.
That's what SyncHub does. It fills in that little gap between the API and the database, so that analysts don't have to have any programming knowledge. They just connect to the database as if it was the cloud platform itself. And we keep the data updated in real time. And they're away. And, to a certain extent, our ideal customer forgets that we're even there. They, as far as they're concerned, they make a sale in their restaurant, and it's reflected in their reports in a couple of minutes.
Oh, so let's just talk about this idea of kind of launching. I'm just translating your gobbledygook MVP, POS, API, and I've just found out a cool new LinkedIn feature is that LinkedIn are now streaming onto my profile at the head of the page, which is crazy. I'm just going to put it in the chat here. I've never seen that. It looks like the real thing.
I can see it.
It's pretty phenomenal, isn't it? It's like my own TV. It's like my own TV station back in the day. So
I'm distracted now. Okay, you go on.
Stop looking away.
It's the nerd. Okay, right. Sorry.
Yeah. So the MVP model. What are the problems that you've seen with people that have, because you're the guns for hire? I think I said to you yesterday, like when you have a client and they haven't been through like releasing a SaaS product before, and they're paying you to do that, and they make stupid decisions. I hope I'm not insulting any of your clients. You're like the tail of the dog that's being wagged, right? Because whether they're trying to put too much into it or too little into it, doesn't get enough traction. You're seeing this time and time and time again. Whereas somebody who's maybe a founder, like I've been through a couple of SaaS businesses and kind of working on the third, and you would have done that, by lunchtime. So when you've done it a lot, what were some of the cool things that you brought to your own launch of SyncHub that perhaps you might not give yourself credit for, or it was obvious to you, but it might not be obvious to somebody else? Do you think?
I think the key with, you said it's the tail wagging the dog kind of analogy. I see it more as sometimes we're a bit of a handbrake on the client's ideas. Sometimes we burst their bubble a little bit, but it's all done with love. And it's not that they make stupid decisions. It's just that they think big. And you know what it's like when you build a product. It's your baby. You love it.
That's a great thing to say to all your clients.
But it's true. And you fall asleep thinking about it, you wake up with a great idea, you jot it down, and then you finally meet a developer who can do it, and you want it all because you love it. It's your baby. And so in the early days, a customer would say, I would like this, and I would do it. And after a while, you realize that some of these ideas need to be validated, or maybe there's two ideas of equal value, but one will take $10,000 worth of development and one will take $100 worth of development. And so you push back and you help the client kind of prioritize. It's kind of this matrix of cost versus functionality. And so when it came to SyncHub, I'd learned this, I guess, as you alluded to, instinctively by this point. So when I try to think about the shortcuts we took on SyncHub, there was no customer management page, admin user page, so it's one person could log in. There was no way to confirm that your data was downloading. There was no way to disconnect your connection. It was MVP, but it was minimum viable product, and it got the job done. And then you queue up the next one and the next one.
And so you felt like you hit it right in terms of that balance? You're happy with how that executed?
I'm really proud of what we did, and I'm the thing honestly that I'm most proud of thus far is that I have personally been restrained enough not to continue adding features to it, because it's my baby and I love it, and I can think of 100 great features and new modules and new pricing tiers and everything. But if there's no demand for it, all you're doing is adding clutter to your service. You're increasing your hosting costs. You're definitely increasing your support costs, and you're diluting your message, your brand. So yeah, it's funny. I'm as much proud of what we haven't done as what we have done.
Right.
Which I hadn't really thought about before, but yeah.
Now, one of the things
you must have had a similar experience with yours when you know, there's limited time, you want to get an idea to market.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm working on my own web presence at the moment, and I'm not doing minimum viable product because I feel like I'm gonna get something of substance done. And I don't. And so, if you were saying, I know that my web designer's in quarantine in Christchurch right now, and he's screaming for content so he can just smash it out while he's still in quarantine. But yeah, I think I think there are different schools, and people are different. People are comfortable with different ways of launching.
True. Yeah,
you know, like I know people who will not launch until it's just amazing. Yeah, and they'll just have. Well, even Ken Brickley was on here the other day, and he's like, you know, he's got a very successful SaaS business, and his web presence is not. He's not satisfied with it, you know. And so but he's also this adage that you let some fires burn because the business is going great and other stuff's going great. So it's doing its job.
Yeah, now you're crossing over to technical debt and fires burning. One other thing I'll say about MVP is if you have a competitor that's doing something, it's really hard to knowingly release an inferior product. So often, you know, clients will insist that they at least have feature parity with a certain competitor. And I don't dispute that. If you could snap your fingers and you had unlimited money and unlimited time, then of course you would do that, but you don't. And while you're building out that feature, they're building out something else, and you'll never get deployed. Maybe.
I mean, my take on that is that you got to think about what's important to the end customer, and what your competitors just released. You got to forget about that and go, what are the main things in order that my customer really, really wants, and build to that and make that an amazing experience, not look over there. Because we were at Diligent, we looked over at another company, and they were like putting notes into their board packs as a feature when they had been bought by private equity. And we're like, oh, that's good. That's a dumb thing to do. because notes are discoverable by law, and you don't put them into a board portal. And so it's just like I try and help people by saying, forget about what they're doing and think about how important it is to you, especially when you're doing like those lists of what have we got, what have they got. You don't just go. I saw one time which was like, there were someone had done, I think it was results.com, looked at all these different kind of business performance solutions, and the report came back and it was like, well, they've got like 30 things and we've got like 12, right? And it looks really unbalanced.
Yeah.
And then I said, hang on, let's just start thinking, what's the most important thing to us? This. And what do we do with it? Oh, we've got like 5 or 6 things we do with it. What's the next most important? This. And what do we do on that? Oh, we do these 6 things. Then we go to the next one. And we end up with like 4 or 5 categories, each with sort of 6 subcategories of what we build into a product. And then say, okay, compare the other guys into that. And when you do that, it's like, no. Okay, we're on the right path because we're doing stuff we know is important that they're not doing because they're not seeing it. That's what I take.
Convey that to your customers. If your customer goes to your site and you list your features, and then they go to your competitor's site, and your competitor, even if they just have a higher quantity of features, as you said before, at first impression, it looks like a bigger product, and bigger is usually better. It's something we've struggled with.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, what you got to do is just go into the benefits and try and find like 3 top benefits.
Yeah.
So it's, what did Xero go with? Which everyone goes, let's call our stuff, beautiful tenancy software, beautiful, blah, blah, blah. It's a cliche. Let's make our software light blue. It's like that. But the point is, if you go to the benefit of, so their benefit of beauty is who are they trying to bring in right at the outset? The first group they're trying to satisfy is the accountants. It's all for the accountants, but the product is all for the accountants' clients because it's got to satisfy the clients, but they've got to get through the accountants to get to the clients. So I don't know what year they brought out Beautiful, but that benefit of it's just Beautiful is kind of like something on top of a lot of other stuff. And it's not associated with accounting. It's not associated with software.
Yeah.
But diligence was faster, easier, and more secure. And we competed on that at every layer through our products, our marketing, our sales, our customer success was all about easier, faster, and more secure. And that meant that we could beat those other guys that put notes in their product because it wasn't secure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how deep it goes. It's not what we're not doing is, I mean, I guess Xero just said, well, it's more beautiful than any other software. And it means it's easier. It means everybody likes it. It's fun. But then the other aspect of it is something that you're trying to get a through line.
Yeah.
So privacy has been Apple's through line for a long time, and it goes deep into every part of the fabric of who they are. That's what they have the simplicity and probably the innovation, but it's the privacy is right in there as the thing that they are driving through.
I think if you can, I agree with this. And if those kind of highlights, those top 3 line items speak to a pain point that the customer, it maybe even only subconsciously knows that they have, then I think your product will resonate with them. But of course, and we try to do the same. But again, it's very tempting to use a shotgun approach and try to put out lots of messages and speak to lots of problems that potential customers are showing, because you don't know what you're missing out on. There might be a whole swath of customers out there who come to our site and I don't know, some feature XYZ, it gives you free apples as front of mind for them, but we don't mention it, so we don't know. It's difficult.
Yeah, say that again. You don't mention the free apples because you don't know that they want the free apples. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. That sounds silly, but we could be missing out on heaps of customers because we're not mentioning a particular feature that we offer or could offer. It's like Google Ads or Google Analytics. It will only it will only reinforce what you've already got. It won't tell you what you don't have. See, I think about this a lot now because this is the phase that we're moving into with SyncHub. Is the tech is taking care of itself. We've got our processes in place. Everything's fine and it's scalable for about 10x. So I think we can take a sit back. So the next thing on the agenda is how do we get more people into the top of the funnel? How do we increase our SEO? Can we do anything with Google Ads? And so I find myself kind of taking off my developer hat these days and putting on my marketer's hat and giving this a little bit of thought around brand and proposition and not diluting your message and who exactly do you want to target? Can you target them both at the same time? How does your pricing affect who you want to target?
Yeah, but I mean, at the stage that you're at, it's like, this is kind of like a live coaching call, isn't it? At the stage you're at, that's cool. No, the original idea was just people asking me lots of questions for an hour. So I'm happy with this. At the stage you're at, it's all about everything other than the product. Like the product's there, the product's done.
Yeah.
And you just got to. It's the game of attraction, and competitive battling that goes on around the product. And you're right. Like people, part of the challenge is that you're breaking ground in a new category. Would you say this is, how long has this category been around to be able to do what you're doing?
Not long. I think probably 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. What's the category called, do you think?
Something about data accessibility, perhaps, or data accessibility.
Right. So like a data accessibility platform.
I think what because right now data access is still in the hands of software developers, and yes, APIs are becoming a little bit more standardized, but there's no rules around that, and most people have no idea what an API is, or let alone how to use it, and so their data is not quite accessible. And I think that if you cast your mind back maybe 15 years, dedicated SaaS platforms were quite rare. And now almost every aspect of your business can be outsourced to some .com. And what this means is there's this proliferation of data silos out there, and everybody's data is in a different place. And this is just increasing in the last 15 years. And at the same time, there's this democratization of reporting and data visualization. Like Excel is incredibly powerful. Power BI is an amazing product and free for most people's needs. And so you've got these two huge markets growing, but they can't quite connect because they can't join the dots. And so platforms like SyncHub and all the others out there which do something similar to some extent are growing faster and faster. And I think they'll keep going for a long, long time unless APIs standardize. in which case I'm out of a job.
So do you, so look, the category's new, like three years is nothing. And how would you say you sit in the market with the other competitors out there?
I heard this nice analogy once about your product can be a scalpel or it can be a pocket knife. So we decided to be a scalpel, which means that we're very good at doing one thing. So in terms of feature parity, we possibly have fewer features than other people, but what we do really well, as good as I've seen. And our pricing is about in the middle as well. I need to ask you a whole bunch of questions on pricing, because this is where I'm at the moment. But when we initially built the product, we looked at similar products and we saw what they were charging, and we said, okay, let's do that. And some days I think we're charging too much. Some days I think we're charging too little. And I don't. Any advice you've got around that would be good to hear.
Well, let's go back to the category, the data accessibility platforms. That you're the leader in the particular scalpel that you've built that's out there in the market, and people get a lot of value. Like, I haven't even asked you, but I get the sense that you get very little churn. Am I right? So it's 6% at the moment. I'm told if you can get it to 2%, then you're a superstar. Well, but hang on, you're not doing the only support you're doing is you every now and then, right? Like, it's a sort of an auto support model. It's not like you've got customer success. I mean, I'm saying you're supporting, but you don't. How many times in the last month have you called a customer to check in on them, see how they're doing, who's happy? It doesn't happen, right?
We have an informal follow-up system, but you're right. Let's say a couple of emails.
So 6% is not even a number. It's like it's you're not even active, because you just product, and supporting the product. But it's very different from reducing. You haven't got any real energy on. Here's how we're going to keep everybody happy. And here's how we're going to find out why they're churning, or really, what really went on there. Did one company buy another? Did they hire a data scientist? Did they get some competing product? Like, but the point I'm making is you can sort of feel churn. Sometimes people, you can tell when they're fearful because of their churn. You don't feel, without me even asking you, I could just tell that you didn't have, just the way you said, how many customers you had. You didn't. There was no. But we're going to sign another 10 probably this week, and we lost 3 last month. There's no real concern there. It's ticking along, and that's the stage that you're at. That kind of like, it's running, it's working, it's ticking along.
Exactly.
So when it comes to the pricing, well, frankly, we should talk about this offline, because anyone could be listening in terms of your customer base, right? And I would probably say things to you in private that I wouldn't say to you in public.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's less about, I suppose it's not, when I say pricing, I'm also including a pricing tier. So how you can demarcate your features effectively or not. There's just so many ways to skin a cat. Yeah.
Well, I go to, I think about the pricing pages a lot, and I help people with pricing pages. But if you just go to monday.com/pricing, that is, to me, the best pricing page I've seen. and
Okay.
I've been saying that for a year, and I haven't found a better one. It's just the clarity, and also, you know, I talked about what's important to you and what's important to your customers, and all the subcategories. It scrolls forever, and it's like, holy crap, there's so much here.
Nice.
And this is what you get in different tiers. So you kind of, sometimes you go to a site, it just feels like the price is kind of, you know, I don't know, not gouged, but it's, I don't know, you get to it and you go, oh God, I'm going to have to, you know, which one am I going to go for? You know?
It's hard to convey what they get without them actually using it, but it's also hard to convey our expenses behind the scenes. If somebody signs up to us, we literally scaffold up a brand new database, which we have to pay for hosting. And as that database fills up, we're paying hosting costs for that. But, you know, I've seen some competitors, and they'll charge by the row or the transaction, but the problem, which is fine, like that makes a lot of sense to me as a developer, but from a customer's point of view, they don't know if they're doing 1 million rows in a database or if they're doing 10,000. And so we kind of steered away from that as well. I was really surprised at how unsimple a simple pricing model is to convey.
Yeah. Do you have, I mean, I think there's clever ways of having 2 or 3 different factors that you choose. I was just thinking of something I did. It was Ansarada, who's a data room, and they go, "Oh, you can do it by the length of time, and you can do it by the amount of storage. You can have unlimited users, and every kind of," which is interesting because like Monday.com's seats and which package you're on, and then that's dynamically affecting the price. So this is time, because a data room, people to come in, come out. You know, they might do it for a merger or an acquisition. So they're doing the amount of times, like 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and the do you want 1 gig, 5 gigs, 10 gigs, 100 gigs, or unlimited? So yeah, it's just like getting some of those equations, whether you just want to be a pure click and forget. I'm on this tier; it's unlimited. All tiers are unlimited. But the model should be, in general, I think, for SaaS, that you can make a stonking great business out of it as it scales, and you should get the pricing. One of my original business partners, Gerald, said there's a theory that the first price is the right price. And another thing in negotiation is like the price is actually there. You just have to sort of get to it. Like the price that say you and I would agree for, I don't know, whatever, like the value of your company, it's there. And we just have to, we will find it, but it's there already. We might not know it. We might not know what we're going to end up with, but it does exist. So that maybe the price is great the way it is, and or maybe it's actually way out and you need to rejig it.
And perhaps there is just no right answer. You could halve your price or double your price, and you might find that you end up with the same amount of throughput. And maybe you should just stick to something and focus on other parts of the business for a while.
What date did you launch it?
It was it would have been about August 2019. So you're coming up 2 years.
So 2 years. And how many customers have you got?
We've got 130 active customers, syncing 70 million records.
Great. Well, it doesn't sound like there's a problem with the pricing.
No, I suppose not. But maybe I could have 131 customers if it was slightly cheaper or more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, probably the only thing I'd be going is more expensive than more cheaper. I mean, there's this other sort of adage that I love, which is the world just wants one. So the world really wants one data accessibility hub or platform, right? And so if you just keep pushing that forward, and being the scalpel, then the other stuff just starts to fall away.
Yeah. I also think, I'm reminded sometimes of parenting, believe it or not, because me and a lot of my peers are all raising kids at the moment, and there's so many theories around what you should or shouldn't do in terms of eating and sleeping and everything. But you also need to consider what your own personal strengths are. And there might be a new trendy best practice for something, but if you're unable to implement it, then you need to play to your own strengths and do what you do best. And you know what? Everything's going to turn out right. There's no point trying to be something that you're not. When you're a small SaaS company like us, we don't have the resources, the luxury of time and money to experiment and find out what's best. So at this point, as you said, it's ticking over nicely, and we're following our gut, and that's kind of getting reinforced by the feedback that we have and the customers that are signing up. And so that's where I'm at now, is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's very tempting to go in and want to tweak a few things, but I have to keep reminding myself that it's all right. It's doing fine.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
I've got a 4-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl.
Great.
They're a delight. Yeah. They're my best friends.
Yeah. You have to be, you have to be focused on the short term and the long term with the SaaS businesses and the kids. My son's 11, turning 12, and I'm trying to get ready for the teenage years now.
Every so often I see a glimpse in the eyes of my children of the teenage years, and I think, oh boy, I'm in for some trouble.
Yeah, but your SyncHub is a way off becoming a teenager, right? It's got and part of that is the people around that are able to do the multiplying effect of a product company to a kind of full-blown company, and that's going to drive it into adolescent, I think, more than anything. That and capital.
Well, I wanted to get your thoughts on investment and bringing in partners, and what's your experience with that been?
I think you're in a really unusual, I'd say privileged position, but also vulnerable position. It's interesting because when you own the business and you can call the shots, and you have a family, and it's sort of like, well, this is our asset, So do I spend money there? Do I spend money there? Do I save money? What do I, it's actually quite, it's quite connected and joined up. And I think it can bring about an air of, but also you've got your black ball software still building software for other companies. And you've got a platform. What's your platform called that you use to launch SaaS services?
Foundation. Yeah, Foundation. That's what we've got SyncHub on. Yeah.
Yeah. So Is Foundation wholly owned by you as well?
Is it what, sorry?
Wholly owned by you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have three entities. You have three business children, and
I suppose
Black Ball Foundation and SyncHub.
Yeah.
And which I would be going. I mean, the amazing thing is they're all doing great by the sounds of things. And so I would be going, well, what like I did this exercise actually when I was leaving Diligent to co-found Aria. I lay down and I shut my eyes and I said, hey, do you want to do this?
Oh, no. You want me to lie down and shut my eyes?
No, you just sit there and shut your eyes.
Yeah, okay, go on.
Okay. So think about Black Ball Software and think of all the great things that you've accomplished over the years. And it's the beginning of 2023, and there's an event, and you're going to be going into a room, and it's all going to be about Black Ball Software. And it's 2 years on from now. And just imagine who might be there. You're not in the room yet.
Yeah.
Okay, now walk up to the door and open the door. Keep your eyes closed and just see what's in that room for you. Okay.
Okay.
Come back, open your eyes.
Okay.
Open your eyes, yeah. So that's Black Ball, right? So I did this for Diligent, and then I did it, which I was involved in, and then I did it for Aria. So now we're going to do Foundation. So close your eyes.
Yeah.
Close your eyes. Think of Foundation. Think of all of the things that you've accomplished, all of the possibilities. It's 2023.
Yep.
Just go up to that door, see what's inside, open the door, keep your eyes closed, and what's in that room.
Mm-hmm.
Have a look around, see who's there, what's happening, the big celebration. Okay, now, third one is SyncHub. So close your eyes. Think of all the potential of SyncHub. Think of what you accomplished. Think of where this could go. Think of all the people that could come along on this journey, all the capital that could be raised. Think of the impact it could make on the world. It's 2023. There's a celebration. There's a room. You're outside of that room. You open the door and you go in, and what's inside that room?
Yeah. Okay. I know my 3 rooms.
You know your 3 rooms. What was going on in those rooms?
Well, they were. I mean, there were fewer people in Black Ball, but they were my friends. They're my clients. I know my clients. I know them well. In SyncHub, there were a few more people. Foundation doesn't really count. Foundation is so tied into Black Ball that it's kind of the same thing. So there was just a sandwich board in the middle of Foundation, direct me to the next room.
Okay, I think so. There's only really 2 rooms.
Yeah, but to me, they're not an alternative. And on a personal level, I'm not sure that I would ever want that. You know, we're talking now about SyncHub, and I'm really proud of what I've been able to accomplish, especially with a small team. But if I could snap my fingers and have it become the next Xero or PushPay, I don't think I would give up Black Ball, because I love my clients and I love the challenge of bespoke work. And
so
they're not mutually exclusive. And SyncHub is by no means a way out of Black Ball. If anything, they're symbiotic. And because they're both built on our Foundation platform, advances that I make in SyncHub and kind of eating my own dog food there often manifest in our client work for Blackball, because it's all going towards Foundation, or all being developed in Foundation. So, and actually on that note, you've reminded me, we spoke the other day about being able to demonstrate when we onboard new clients for Blackball, we've got this foundation underpinning which we can roll out, and it's basically SaaS in a box. It's a multi-tenanted, secure, whatever system, but nobody understands it. And now with SyncHub, we can point to SyncHub and say, well, that's what Foundation is. That's what's underpinning this actual SaaS that's making actual money and driving actual customers. And so in a funny way, SyncHub is more than just, it's generating more value for me than just the MRR every month. It's building the Blackball brand, and it's bringing in other bespoke clients.
It's the Google Pixel 1 phone, which
Right.
What that was to Android. It was Google saying to every phone manufacturer, you guys are useless. Let's show you the full potential of what Android can do.
Yeah,
and stop mucking around. Stop
That's
mucking
a nice
around.
analogy. Yeah. And it's really good if a developer can use their own software. If anybody can use their own software, then you just get that experience and that feedback that you can't get if it's your customers clicking the buttons around the site. And so again, just by virtue of our support team being in there every day and helping people with their data accessibility, it's all feeding back into making Foundation a better product and making our service a better service for our Blackball customers.
So I don't get Foundation, and I should be able to understand it. So help me to understand what Foundation is and what it isn't.
So take a handful of SaaS companies. Xero does accounting, Lightspeed does retail, Deputy does timesheeting. They're all separate domains, but they've all got a lot in common. They've all got a login system. They've all got two-factor authentication. They're all multi-tenancy, which means you've got individual users using the system, and their data needs to be siloed. They've all got a user interface. They've all got a mobile app. So all that commonality, which Blackball has developed over 17 years, we've abstracted it away and put it into this platform called Foundation. And so if you were to come to me and say, I want a new SaaS company, then rather than having to charge you to reinvent the wheel every time, we can literally roll out Foundation in half a day, and you've immediately got all of this kind of this base hygiene that people just expect from a SaaS, but don't really expect to pay for it as part of their platform, because they're not daydreaming about the authentication model or the schema separated database. They're dreaming about accounting or timesheeting. So that's what Foundation is. It's the turnkey for SaaS platforms. And then on top of that, we build the domain specific stuff. So if Xero had come to us and said, can you build our system? We would have rolled out Foundation, and then we would have built the accounting stuff, the invoicing and the accounts payable. Or if Lightspeed came to us, we would have built out the products and the ordering. But all the base under stuff is taken care of. Does that help? See, this is why I need to point people to so they can kind of see what it does.
Point people to what?
Point people to SyncHub so they can, you just say, look at SyncHub, that's Foundation. Now take away the color, take away the database connections, everything else is Foundation.
It's just so hard to get your head around. What other SaaS manufacturing platform is there on the planet?
Well, look, there's thousands of frameworks for building apps, and I'm sure that many software development agencies have got a base set of libraries. So what we're doing is not technically unique, but it's good, and it's based on 17 years it's been battle tested over 17 years of actual real world usage, and I can't comment.
What category is foundation? This is my favorite question, because just about everybody I ask this question to.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm waiting for the people to show up that do know the answer to this question, more than I'm surprised if people don't. What category is foundation?
The immediate phrase that came to mind was it's SaaS in a box. It's a turnkey solution for a SaaS platform.
Okay. So how many SaaS in the box systems are there out there? Providers?
I don't know. I've never really heard anything pitched that way before, and foundation has never been a product that we've tried to sell, because it can't really be sold independently. It still needs Blackball to implement the functionality on top. It's not like I can just queue up foundation.com and sell this as a product to other people or other developers. It's not like that. I haven't seen a need to do that yet. But you've got me thinking now.
Well, there's SaaSinthebox.com and SaaSinthebox.net. But they're different. One's saves you hundreds of development hours when launching your SaaS by taking care of user management, Stripe subscriptions, SaaS marketing pages.
Yeah.
SaaS in the Box. SaaS in the Box is a software company focused on extending the value of cloud-based businesses applications, specifically Oracle NetSuite. Ooh. Oh, you had me at SaaS in the Box. You lost me at Oracle NetSuite. Okay. So what's interesting about this to me is that foundation is a phenomenon that when marketed well will really empower your Blackball software group, and it's fantastic that you've built it, and the whole case study of standing up SyncHub in 24 hours. Has that been reported on anywhere? Have you been in the national news? You've been in international magazines? Have you been on CNN?
I'm on SaaS on the Street, and I think that's the beginning.
There we go. There we go. There we go. That's the best promotion.
Anecdotally, I've mentioned that to a few people, but I guess I just took it for granted. It's just how we roll out all of our projects for the last 5 years. Or so.
Yeah. So a question I've got around the infrastructure. So what are you on, a cloud-based? Are you on a big tech cloud infrastructure?
Yeah. We're all in with Microsoft, so we code in .NET, and we host with Azure, SQL Server back, all in. There was no choice around that. It's just what I personally learnt when I was 20 years old, and then that's what my company used, and that's what. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I have to say, I love what Microsoft is doing with Azure and with their scalable databases and their elastic pools. And a lot of SyncHub wouldn't be possible without this kind of SDK, this API-driven platforms, because like I said before, when a new client comes on, they get their own brand new database. And I couldn't have done that 5 years ago, because I couldn't have it needed a human to push a few buttons and create a database. But now with Azure, they've got an SDK, and we can programmatically create one automatically. So I think also, I don't think it could have worked a few years ago, or it would be a completely different model, and it would be much more hands-on, I think. So yeah, it's a really good time to be doing what we're doing.
Cool. And do people have to use the Microsoft? Like, could because Foundation's on Azure, and you've built stuff in .NET. If people build off Foundation, do they have to be built using? Is there a requirement of tool sets when you're using Foundation? No.
No, I mean, Foundation's built in .NET, and it's the old .NET, so you've got to run it on a Windows box. It doesn't have to be Azure. You can dial up a Windows server in Amazon if you like.
Really, that sounds kind of funky.
Yeah, apparently people do it.
Right, it's like getting the Windows virtual Windows on your Mac, or a virtual Mac on your Windows machine.
I see Microsoft's releasing another take at a virtual desktop hosted in Azure. I hope that this one takes off. I'd be very keen to try that instead of having to have a powerful desktop computer out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. So, well, that's a great rundown. Before we go, I just wanted to acknowledge you for, I think just your openness and your willingness to share everything that you've kind of gone through, and go through the closed eye exercise. And yeah, it's just a really great conversation. So thank you.
Cool. Oh, thanks for your time. It's been great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And to be continued. And thanks everyone for watching. Get on SyncHub if you have data accessibility requirements, and get on Foundation if you've got need to stand up a SaaS business tomorrow.
Yep, great stuff. Thanks, Simon.
All right. You're welcome. See you.